Welcome to Debt to Cinema. I'm Stephen Mominex.
And I'm Brian Gillis. Like most people, we love going to the theater and catching the latest releases. However, it can sadly put a big dent in your wallet.
Fortunately, living in the digital age makes the viewing possibilities endless from the comforts of home.
Many of these films that you can see right from your couch, we're ashamed to say we miss, despite labeling ourselves cinephiles.
So join us as one or both of us cross off a title from our list of shame.
It can be an all-time essential classic,
or an underrated piece of cinema that's worth giving a shot.
Hell, it might just be some trashy film we want the others' opinion on. So sit tight and join us as we pay off our debts, $1 at a time.
How many high-profile legendary directors have we had for this show? There's Alfred Hitchcock. There was Ridley Scott. Yeah, that's... I don't know if she's in the film classes or the history books, but
Should be.
I'll give you that, absolutely.
Who else? A good amount. I mean,
I would count Joe Dante. You know, Gremlins is awesome enough that I think
if Joe Dante counts, Nora Ephron definitely counts.
Well, that's why, because you brought up Nora Ephron. I went there with Joe
Sam
Dante.
Raimi.
What did he? Oh, The Gift. Yeah,
The Gift.
Alexander Payne. We can go back to a year ago.
Bob Clark.
Also not on there, but yeah, I guess that's why we have this show, is to appreciate those that don't have that much recognition. Martin Scorsese has a ton at this point. You know, I've heard that Silence is great from a lot of people, so that's sort of how this ties in. But of all the gangster movies like Goodfellas, Casino, and The Departed, you know, this is his third feature flick, and this is the one that really got him on the map. And I've known about it for years, even throughout high school, and I've never seen it until now.
Yeah, same here. This is why the show exists. I had known the name. I knew it starred Harvey Keitel. I was surprised that Robert De Niro was in it. I think I just kind of totally just forgot about that.
Like, how young is he in this? I mean, he's
too fucking young. I feel older than he is. Like,
he
seriously.
looks like one of those assholes that I knew from high school that right now are literally doing nothing. Like, they're just being his character, just freeloading off other people and constantly dicking everybody else around. Like, I literally have a friend like that you feel bad for them and you want to help them out, and you think that they can actually get their shit together, and then sure enough, they're just going to fucking completely destroy themselves in the process. They're not going to get their legs broken by a loan shark, but yeah, seriously, really fucking young here.
But I'm going to shock you. I haven't seen really anything that Scorsese's done. Like, all the things that you just named, yes, I've seen. I've seen The Wolf of Wall Street, Hugo, Shutter Island, like all of his recent stuff. The Departed.
All of the stuff of the new millennium.
Yeah, Aviator, all the stuff that's come out since I was born. Gangs of New York. I've seen all of that stuff, and yes, obviously Casino and Goodfellas, because those are kind of necessary viewing. But Age of Innocence, I've seen Cape Fear. But fucking, like, Boxcar Bertha, Last Temptation of Christ, any of his documentaries, The Color of Money, After Hours Camp Comedy.
Okay, the stuff like in the 80s and the 70s, like unless it's Taxi Driver and Raging Bull, no, you're not the only one, really. I mean, a lot of people have not seen The King of Comedy. They at least are aware of what it is, of what After Hours is, but they still, you know, everyone I know pretty much has that on the list of shame. For me, it's
and Kundun.
Oh yeah, I saw Kundun once, but I was really tired when I saw it too. It was more of, I mean, that was when I was on my Scorsese kick, and that was one of the movies where it's like, I need to get every single copy of a Scorsese movie that I just, you know, like I was in high school at this point. It's like, I got to see everything, and I was kind of on a burnout at that point, so it was not the most exciting one. It was that in Age of Innocence where I'm going to have to watch those again in the future and see if I can appreciate them for where I am now. But in high school, they were not something I was ready for then.
It's funny, all the movies I listed, the one that I forgot to say is Bringing Out the Dead, and I have seen that. And I want to say... Yeah, that's
another one of those.
No bullshit. I want to say it was the first Scorsese film I saw, and it was just because at that time, the age I was and having cable, and it was a Nick Cage movie, and why wouldn't I watch it? But most of his later stuff I've seen in theaters. Like, I regret not seeing Hugo. I remember a couple people wanted to go see it in 3D, and I passed on it.
That movie exists because of 3D.
Because of 3D,
I can't watch it any other way now. It just doesn't make any sense to me to not do so.
I know I'll catch Devil in the White City whenever that lands. If he's still attached to direct it, he probably is. I mean, reading that book was good enough that I knew immediately, like, oh, this is going to make a fucking awesome movie. But let's stop talking about the past. Let's talk about this one, Mean Streets. Was it 73, I believe it is? Everyone here is so young. It's almost like... I don't even know the right word. It's like a culture shock. Like we're talking about Robert De Niro being young, but Harvey Keitel,
No joke, seriously. Right when Harvey Keitel showed up, I looked at him and I
right
was
in the
like, "Was that?"
beginning,
Yeah,
yeah.
I thought, "Is that Jeremy Renner?" Like that
Okay,
was
I don't
my
know about
very first
that.
thought at the. Yeah, no, I mean, it was like a very quick thought, and of course, if you really look closely, it isn't him, but it's close enough to just put that idea in my head for a brief second of like, holy shit, like who is that? And I didn't,
Seen him in
the first
a
time I
wife
saw Harvey
beater.
Keitel in anything was Pulp Fiction, so I kind of think of that, and then
He's always
where
old,
he is
right?
now, like even his voice, it's just when you hear him, what he sounds like when he's younger, it's one of those things where wow, like I was kind of stunned with just the moment he speaks and realizing that's who that is.
Funny, based on my quick math, he was 34 here, which is because he's got famous as an older actor. Yeah, he's young.
Yeah.
Let me see De Niro. What was his age? Because I want to say he's probably like 24. That's my guess. He's born
I don't know.
43,
I mean,
so he was
like
30
a year
also.
after this, a year after
No,
this, he did
De Niro was
Godfather Part
30.
2, and he looked like fairly old, like he could be in his 40s.
It could have just been the way he was dressed, and also
Yeah.
he's a fairly minor character. Like, he's a major supporting role, but it's not about him. It's about Harvey Keitel, Saint Francis. Okay, which is like the weirdest thing. And whenever I watch a movie like this, especially if it's I mean, at this time, I don't know if he still is, but Scorsese was clearly of a Catholic upbringing, and it shows in a lot of his movies, notably this and Last Temptation of Christ. It's like every time they're in the church, or you have that same like song happening on the Upper East Side or wherever they are. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? It's the Lower East Side. I've actually been in Manhattan. Let me correct that. It's the Lower East Side.
This is Little Italy. I don't know my
Yeah.
geography of New York, but
Yeah, it's the Lower East Side. It's like
wherever
real
that
close
is,
to the
yeah.
Bowery, not too far from Staten Island Ferry. But yeah, just it kind of just oozes religion in terms of the fire trick that happens so much, and going to church, and the talking about confession, and the 10 Hail Marys, like that kind of monologue you get towards the beginning, and even especially like the kind of prayers that happen almost in soliloquy, and then towards the end it's like, oh no, he's actually saying this stuff, like he's talking to himself. I don't know if I'm crazy here, I didn't read the trivia on IMDb, but that was Scorsese doing like
doing the
his
voiceover.
yeah, the voiceover. Well, not even
I
voiceover,
thought so.
but like inner monologue, like his consciousness or
It
something
kind
like
of sounds
that.
like him. I'm not sure, but I mean, I did read the Wikipedia page briefly, and there was this one detail that I really, really loved. Is that his other two early films I have not seen, because this is his third feature film.
Yeah, Boxcar
Boxcar
Bertha,
Bertha, which is
and,
his Roger Corman flick, and Who's That Knocking?
Yeah.
There's just this little anecdote on that page. Basically, after Boxcar Bertha, John Cassavetes says to him, "You spent a year of your life making shit. Like, you should make something kind of like Who's That Knocking? Like, something that's personal again." And that is what this feels like it is. Like, it's funny just
Very
watching this, and then
Italian.
you have the Rolling Stones playing. You got those dynamic camera shots. You got the fast cuts in the beginning, and you see that, and it's just like, holy shit, like, this is... It kind of feels like Goodfellas, just that really quick pace.
Yeah.
Like, it's really early here, and it's just starting to cook, but over there, that's where it just fully bloomed out. But it's still really cool to see, like, here, just how that started and how that influenced. I mean, it's not just Scorsese's style that gets perfected later on, but that influenced just the style of so many
A lot of
movies that
people.
were going to come later. Maybe the most influential one of all the new Hollywood movies, really, that just affect filmmaking even today, which is the style that we're used to seeing things.
Well, this is weird. It's like, I guess it counts as New Hollywood. It's just, at the time, was he big enough? I mean, yes, this is Warner Brothers, but it doesn't feel like a studio movie. It's
No.
a very small budget. Like, everything was spent on the music rights. Like, the music here is insane. It starts with the Ronettes doing "Be My Baby," but as you said, you got Rolling Stones, who Scorsese has a relationship with. He did a documentary about them, or two actually. But you did that vinyl show on HBO, which failed. You had The Last Wall. It's like he has a big musical past and present, to be honest. And just like from beginning to end, just like Casino, just like Goodfellas, you're like, oh, I know this song, or I've heard this song before, or I don't know this song, but I'm gonna write it down. And it it's weird because when people think about music and movies, like the soundtrack, it all began like outside of the musical. It began with American Graffiti. So I would argue that this gets a lot from American Graffiti too, and it still does its own thing. Yes, with the fast cutting, the real close up shots.
American Graffiti though, that was 75, wasn't it?
No, I want to say that's
or was
68.
it 73? No, because
71 maybe. Because think about it, he made Star Wars.
THX 1138 was 71.
Okay, then American Graffiti was 73.
Or 75. I'm not sure.
It's not. He didn't put American Graffiti out 1 year before Star Wars.
No, that's 2 years. Star Wars is 77.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just at the same time, but American Graffiti is the one that, and I think it's more so because music plays a more pivotal role in that. The fact that there is a radio DJ and everyone's listening to the radio, and you got the Wolfman thing. But maybe this one also deserves the praise that one gets in terms of creating the contemporary film. Maybe not the teen film, because that's more of what American Graffiti is, but you feel the youthful like vibrance of the filmmaker here, that he has a lot of energy, not just in the way that the camera moves, but in the way that the story's told. And I think that youth also is a bad thing, because it's an earlier film, and you know what he goes on to make later. But there's some.
You can use the term sophomoric. It's okay.
I'm not gonna say sophomoric. That's what I said for Joy Noel. But
well, I definitely feel that
filmmaker.
Here. I mean, it feels like a very personal film, but it feels like someone that's just developing their style and growing as a filmmaker. I have not seen Who's That Knocking, or is the full title of that Who's That Knocking at My Door? I keep hearing Scorsese refer to it as Who's That Knocking, but and I don't know if Boxcar Bertha really counts, because that's a Roger Corman movie.
Yeah.
They shot that really cheap for like probably 3 weeks or something.
But there's
I still really want to see that, but
it doesn't do everything right, especially when it comes to the story. And it's notable because this is one of like Scorsese's few films that he actually wrote. As far as to my knowledge, he's only done that for like 3 or 4 films, and none of them are his big ones.
I think he's responsible on the script of Goodfellas and Casino.
But both of those are adaptations, or like based in part on real life, especially Casino.
This one's specifically based on his experiences living in New York, and like just interactions and people that he grew up with. So like it really does feel incredibly personal, just in so many ways.
Sure.
Like
I mean,
the details there.
Like
they're just I don't know, just the feel of the movie and just the details and the way that everyone interacts, like it feels way too real, and it feels like someone else's experience, that even if there's moments in the movie where I'm not fully understanding the culture and what's going on, it's like I see it and I can't really ignore it. It never really feels like false drama to me.
There's these little stretches of weird amateur filmmaking, like right when the film starts. Not the actual open, the cold open, where you have Harvey Keitel like talking to himself in his bedroom, but when you get these little like vignettes of all the characters, and then you get the lower third like text to describe, like to say who the character is. I'm like, okay, who does that? It's like the weirdest thing. It's like Johnny Boy, Charlie.
After he blows up a mailbox.
Yeah, the mailbox scene. It's like everyone gets that little moment. You're like, okay, here's all the characters. I got it. This is how the mean streets happen, or the Season of the Witch, whatever you want to call it. I think Season of the Witch would be a better title, to be honest.
It can't. No, I mean, after Halloween. Granted, that would come afterwards, but no, I feel like that one claimed it. There's even a Nick Cage movie that's called Season of the Witch, and it looks so dumb, but.
That one's actually about witches, though.
No, but Mean Streets is a good title, though. It's pretty catchy.
It's an okay title.
I think it's a good title. It sells it right away.
It's really weird because, we've said it, like, this is obviously a lot of his upbringing and childhood, and him hanging out with his friends on the streets before he went to film school. And it shows between, the religious angle, the fact that it's the mob. There's Italian throughout, either spoken or like little pictures or music or food. At the time, if you weren't watching like a Fellini film or like Antonioni, like you're probably not gonna see Italian or even Italy on screen, especially since this is not too long after World War II. This
is also a year after The Godfather, and that was a huge hit. It won Best Picture that year, so really just the timing for this movie's success, whether it made it on its own or if it's capitalizing on that craze for The Godfather, is up for debate, but it came out at the perfect time.
with The Godfather, it's adapted from a huge like bestseller. Like Puzo already won a ton of money for that before they even went in production on that film. But past that, like this isn't some grandiose like almost operatic family drama. This is just like they're not kids, but some not quite adults doing stupid stuff and acting like they're sitting at the big boy table.
Well, they're all just kind of up and coming in their own way, and I really, in the case of Charlie, just
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, this is really just a story about a guy that's really just trying to find out what he wants to do. Like that opening for anyone in their 20s where he gets out of bed, looks in the mirror, and then goes back into bed. Honestly, who has not done that?
Everyone does
Our
that.
age,
Sometimes they do it in bed. So you just take your phone out and you like look at the screen. And you're like, yeah, it's close enough to a fucking mirror.
But just in some way goes back. I mean, like right away that just sets the tone. It's like, I mean, it's tough to, even though this isn't my experience, you can at least relate to that on a very base level where, he's trying to figure out where exactly he wants to be in his life, whether, what sins he should try to make up for, if he wants to be the guy that helps out his friend and tries to get him on the right path, even if he's beyond hope. Does he want to fucking move in and marry this girl, or does he love her? Does he not love her? Stuff like that, where you're really just trying to figure out who you are and what you want to be. Like that stuff really hits, I think, even if the movie is kind of a mess.
He just puts a lot of himself in this film, though. Outside of the literal, oh, that's Scorsese doing a cameo as Shorty, who it's funny because he's the one who kills Robert De Niro. Or shoots him. He doesn't die quite.
Which makes me wonder, like, not to get personal, but like I briefly mentioned, like Robert De Niro reminded me of a dumb shit friend that I don't know if I have or still don't have, but who just I've tried to like help with so much shit and just ended up being a waste of time. And like that thought has occurred to me is like, yeah, if I write a character that I base in my mind off this person, then I would like to be the person that kills them. And I find that really fucking hilarious that Scorsese was the one to do it. So it's like, is there a personal thing happening here with him being that choice? That's really interesting.
But yeah, outside of him literally being in it and maybe the voice inside Harvey Keitel's character's head and the Italian backdrop and the religion, there's just a lot of who he is here. I mean, Scorsese is known a lot for being a filmmaker, but more so just kind of pushing forward like preservation for film and reclaiming past like technologies. Like we're talking about Hugo, that's basically indebted to Georges Méliès, and you have so much about the movies here. They go to the cinema twice.
Oh yeah, 3 times.
Is it 3 times?
Or well, there's 3.
There's 3 movies shown.
There's 3
but
different
they
show,
actually they actually go twice. One of the first things you see here is a projector. Like you see the light flying through it. You have that little sequence when you're introduced to Michael, and it's like this is a Japanese adapter, not a lens. And then even more so, right after that cold open with Harvey Keitel, you have like a Super 8 home video for opening credit sequence, which was probably just behind the scenes footage and that Scorsese was filming with his Super 8 camera. He's like, yeah, let's just shoot this. We'll do this. I'll do this. And then you have that really great where it's framed really well. It's cropped, and then it blows up to the full frame when you're actually shooting. I'm guessing they shot this on Super 16 because 35, just the camera moves alone, they probably couldn't have got away with it, and it would have been way too expensive. Like someone who hasn't done anything is not going to get that expensive of a camera and film stock. And also, there's like little things. Did you listen to this with headphones?
Yeah, that's really all I got. Yeah, but it's a mono track, so it's not that perfect. Really.
It's not even that. You can hear the camera so much. It's such a fucking loud camera. They didn't put an icebox on it. I would say like probably like 20% of this movie, you can hear a murmur of the film going through, which kind of made it like almost like not even funny, but just like okay, like you respect it a little bit more because you know that they don't know exactly what they're doing. There's a lot of ADR here, which made it seem more Italian in a weird way.
And by the way, according to IMDb, the negative that they used was 35.
Really?
So, I mean, yeah, that is possible because the cameras did get more lightweight at that point.
Post The Graduate, yeah.
Yeah.
Once like 67 or 68 came into play, that's when the cameras got lighter. That's when the sound equipment got better. That's when zoom lenses came into play. And like you said, like telephoto lens and panoramic. He uses a lot of this. Like you get that Scorsese, or not Scorsese, but almost like Sam Raimi moment where they actually put the camera on Harvey Keitel's chest, like they do like a doggy
Yeah.
cam when he's drunk at that party. One of the cooler
It's like,
things in the whole movie, just that party, especially when you have like the point of view going through the streamers and then like fighting up against the jukebox and the record skipping.
seriously, like it's not just the way that the camera moves, it's the way that, like, for someone that's making their third movie, just the way that they're performed, like just how the scene feels, like all the bullshit that these guys are just yelling at each other, and it just seems like they're really into it, and it's all happening there in one take, and the punches just feel real. It's how the fuck do you do
Almost
that?
real. They probably
Like,
just did one take. Like in particular, the pool hall scene where they
seriously.
have like a 20-person brawl or something like that. They could have done that more than once or twice. When you throw in stuff like the broken pool cubes, the alcohol, they had the guys played as cops, everyone lined up. Like it would have cost a lot of money just to even set that up, especially if they did in fact shoot this on 35. Like maybe 2 or 3 takes. Like
Well, I don't know,
I think
because
that's
some of the places are sets in LA though, which
Oh, yeah?
I don't know if I don't want to say that this is fully an indie production. I honestly don't know. I didn't do my research that well, but I saw brief glimpses that, yeah, for some places they had to go to LA.
That's interesting. Like maybe for some of the sequences on the road or in cars, because that would be really expensive in New York. But yeah, this is it's an interesting movie. It's a landmark, especially for his filmography. It kind of just demonstrated to an audience what he is great at telling, and that's personal stories about Italian like groups of people, especially in relation to the mob. But yeah, you said it about 10 minutes ago. This movie's a mess, especially
like,
the way it ends. Like,
well, it's just like it feels like, right when I was watching this for about the first half hour, like I really felt like, oh my God, how have I not seen this before? Because this kind of feels amazing. Like, the first scene that you get with Tony at the bar when he kicks out the guy that's doing the dope, and then he gives the bouncer like problems. Like, what were you doing? I was doing nothing. That's it.
Exactly.
You didn't do nothing.
You weren't
Like,
doing nothing.
just lines like that. Shit, like Robert De Niro blowing up that mailbox, which is such a perfect
It's so
introduction.
cool. Yeah.
Like, just to talk with him and Charlie in the back room. It's like, yeah, I paid him last Tuesday. Oh no, wait, I was thinking about the Tuesday before last. Oh shit,
No,
like
that
just the way
whole
that these
fucking
guys lie to
speech.
each other and they call each other out on it. It's like, oh, I don't remember. Okay, wait, yeah, maybe I remember. Shit like that. It just feels dynamic, and I don't know. At a certain point, it kind of slows down, and it's really when the epileptic girlfriend comes in, which
Well, you mean
is a
Robert
weird
De Niro's
detail because
cousin.
it's. Yeah, but it's just such a weird detail too. Like it kind of creates what feels like conventional drama, maybe because I've seen more modern movies now. But
I think
also
that was
like
only
that thing just only pays off for one scene, and also not exactly
2
that
scenes.
much.
No, like the reason the epilepsy is thrown in is to make a point as to why Harvey Keitel's character is kind of restricted from being in a relationship with her. Because at first you get this is the cousin of my best friend who I look out for. But then when you throw in that his uncle, who's a made man, is like, oh, that Johnny Boy character, he's named after me, whatever. He's fucking crazy. Don't hang out with him. And his cousin, yeah, she's fucked in the head too. And he's like, you talking about the epilepsy? He's like, yeah, she's fucked in the head. So you can tell from like multiple different angles that this is a forbidden love, a forbidden friendship, and like just everything that he does for this family, despite being like, what's the word used, like compañeros or whatever, some Italian word, probably means family.
Yeah.
Like there's some debt there between the blood.
But there is the thing where he's torn down between sides, and that probably the big line of this movie is honorable men go with honorable men.
There's just you get throughout this film that it's kind of building up to something, and it never goes there. Like, yes, you do get this action sequence at the end compared to the rest of the film, which is like stands out pretty majorly, even if the sound design is really bad and it doesn't make sense. It's still like a pretty big moment. It is a climax, but I think you can just tell that he was a new filmmaker, and the way that it doesn't work, that there is no closure. It's just like, oh yeah, he owed this guy money the whole movie. We keep on talking about, keep on showing it, keep on doing this. I'm gonna break his legs. Oh, I got a gun. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. And we're driving through Brooklyn where no one would ever see us because it's filled with niggers. And out of nowhere, the car behind us, oh yep, it just so happens to be Michael's car. And Scorsese's gonna take the gun out and he's gonna shoot us and he's gonna get us and we're gonna crash and we're gonna fuck this fire hydrant up. Like, I was thinking when it ended, just like, okay, so what happened to the car? How mad is Tony?
Well, the moral of this movie is
is
really it's not about Tony. Like,
no,
he's
of course
probably going
it's
to be mad after that, and you only get to know these guys for 4 days. But yeah, I guess the moral of this movie is, hey, pay your debts, or maybe just sometimes a message that's stuck with me is like, what, sometimes you just got to let your friends go,
oh
because
that
if you
that is
can't
the
help
message.
them, they can't. Yeah, they can't help
Yeah, they
themselves. Like
can't help
that's one of the
themselves. Yeah.
many messages, though. It is kind of a coming of age movie in that way of like, you have Charlie trying to decide what kind of man he wants to be and trying to make his own decisions, and in some ways, like, yeah, even when you want to help people, there's just there's no way to do it. You just kind of have to let them fall on their own. I
There's
mean,
more to
but
it than
just
that, though. Like, it
it's
is a coming of age story, but it goes past that because, like, okay, like in terms of just being in the mob, there are movies that are more coming of age than this. However, it's like, is this a mafioso movie? Is this a street kid movie? Is this coming of age? Is this about like the American dream? Is it like what's going on here? Like, there isn't a Saturday Night Fever feeling. Like, despite how well these guys are dressed, they're all wearing suits and ties and nice watches, and they got their hair did. Like, they're not doing anything with that. They're just hanging out. Like, it's a hangout movie almost. And
it does feel like a time capsule in the moment movie, really.
but then, I mean, it's hard to compare them because, we said this is his third film, his first real film. You got something like American Gangster, which is the same time period, kind of the same place, and yet, like I said, you can't compare them because that's a true story.
Also,
It's
that's Ridley
Oliver
Scott.
yeah, it's really Scott, like
Yeah.
great performers, like at the top of their game. Like, you can't compare them. But there's so many movies out there now that have a similar story to this one or a better story that are just created so much better, that are a better use of your time. However, because this is an acclaimed filmmaker, just figuring out his style and his voice and everything, it's not a bad watch. I wouldn't say it's necessary either, but I didn't feel like my time was wasted. Like, I still enjoyed
No.
it, even if I was like, oh my god, I can't believe they did that, or why'd that happen? For instance, I love cats. Well, what the fuck was up with the lions, man? Like, what was up with those cubs? I loved it. It was awesome.
I
But
figured.
there's no payoff. Like, I was expecting maybe at the party, or like something like someone was thrown in that cage, or they escaped, or something. Nope, you get nothing. Just like someone, the producer was like, "Yeah, we can get lions for 2 seconds of film. Why not?" That's only like
That's
$30,000.
probably all that they could get it for as a permit, or I don't know, maybe based on the budget of this movie, maybe they got it illegally, for all I know, which
No,
would be
you don't
awesome.
get-
No, probably not.
You
I
don't
can
put the
dream, though.
actor in the cage. You would have
I
a
can dream.
wrangler. You would have, like, that would be so much money. The trainer, like,
I'm
setting
sure,
that up,
yeah.
the like everything about that. But I loved it. And there's a lot in this film that's kind of like that. Like, the pool hall scene, for instance, is the same deal.
Oh yeah.
There's no explanation why they're even there, and then they're friends, and they got like that whole knife thing, and then the cop that gets like bribed, and like the firecracker thing. Like, almost every sequence that doesn't involve Robert De Niro and Harvey Keitel is kind of, I wouldn't say wasted, but not useless either, but just like a
I think
filler.
it's the moment that the girlfriend comes in, or De Niro's cousin.
Yeah,
where
once the
it
romance
does just
is
kind of feel
introduced.
like it just kind of feels generic and not as interesting. But it's like, I see why it's there at the same time. But then De Niro comes back in, and he literally, I mean, just that moment where he pretty much talks about, like, hey, I borrowed money from every stiff in this town and never paid them back. And you were
And
the
you're the
last
only
person
one
that I
that I
could go
can
to that would
still.
not give a
Yeah.
shit, which says everything about that character, and you hate him so much. But, like, there's so many amazing moments like that. Maybe you can chalk it up to how awesome De Niro is, but it's like, yeah, this movie is not. I think at the end of the day, it's good, and I think narratively, maybe just for what I look for in movies, it left me a bit unsatisfied. But thinking back on the moments that I did like, and just the things that this accomplishes here, it really feels like Scorsese growing as a filmmaker, and maybe because I saw the product of what he moved up from after this, maybe that kind of dilutes this one a bit for me. But, like, still, the strengths just of how the fact that this exists, the way that they made it, just the entire feel of this movie, it's so damn unique that I'm not gonna buy it for $1. But it's still, like, if you're a fan of Scorsese and you're a fan of Goodfellas and Casino
have
and
to see it.
everything, it's like, yeah, you have to see this at some point. Maybe this is one where I'm sure on a second viewing I'll grow to appreciate it maybe more, but for a first time out, it didn't wow me. It left me unsatisfied in some ways, and I don't know, maybe as a time capsule, just as a docudrama, or because it's kind of like in a way, it's sort of how I felt with The French Connection, in that I grew to love that movie over time, and it just captures New York in this time and place. But that's also based on a true story, and a story that in itself is
and they
fascinating.
got fucking cameras on cars and chase sequences.
Just that chase, it's still insane. But I mean, here, no, it's still sophomoric. Really, that's the word that I would use more so for this time. There's dynamic moments in filming, editing, performance, writing, and then on the whole, it doesn't feel that exciting at the end. But there's just such a great, authentic feel and true personality to this world of thugs in every frame that it's bound to make some impression on you. And at the end of the day, I'd say, hey, it's good. I might watch it again 10 years down the line and enjoy it more.
Yeah, it misses the mark, but in terms of what it shows, if I was watching this in 1973 or even the year after, let's call it 74, like, yeah, there's The Godfather 1 and 2 that just came out, but this is a much more personal story. It is on the streets. Like, this isn't about made men and soldiers and shooting in Italy and all over the place. There isn't, like, 1,000 actors you all know. Like, it's a youthful director. It's young actors, and when you watch something like this, it kind of makes sense. Like, yeah, we've seen Taxi Driver and Raging Bull and Goodfellas and Casino, but it kind of makes sense when you see something like this why Robert De Niro is now doing these weird comedies. Like, he probably gave all he could into the dramatic category after so many years of living the character. Like, the Mohawk is a step really far, but he's just as fucking crazy here. Like, he's just as insane. Like, he is to go out and try to do...
It's far more wild, though, and just unpredictable, whereas, like, Travis Bickle, it's more of a quiet, insane, like, you stare at the guy and you literally don't know what his next move is. Here, Johnny Boy's a loose cannon.
The physical torment that you go through to embody a character like this, though, isn't healthy. To be crazy like this is not a good thing, and
now he's just kind of like, I would rather be the old fart in The Intern.
I'd rather be the old grandpa who's trying to get laid. Like, I want to be the crazy ex-CIA stepdad, like or stepfather rather, not father-in-law. There you go. And I'm okay with that. I think he gets a lot of flack now, and we talked about this on 2 Cents. Like, people forget he created the Tribeca Film Festival. Like, he does other things. He's not just an actor, but it's like he has enough out there that we just haven't seen, that he's in a different era of his acting career. I mean, like, Jack Nicholson's no different. When's the last time he did, like, a honest to goodness good movie?
The Departed, and that was him being pretty fucking crazy. So
He's always been crazy. That's the charm of Nicholson. But with this one, it's
but in a way that might not be safe.
Like, something that this film could have really used was having, like, a bishop or a priest or something at the
just
church.
confession scenes.
Maybe not confession scenes, but at least, like, the voice of reason. You have Charlie, who just doesn't really fit in with with the rest of his brothers. And it's like, why is he the voice of reason? Like, why is he the one that's always, like, smiling or getting along with everyone, trying to make things right? Why does he keep on doing the, like, sanctification things? Like, why? Like, you have that sequence
that
at
he
the
also
party.
has faith and that he questions it. But I do think it's interesting, though, is that's never really tested in some way. Like, at least not on screen.
It's just him with the fire. Like, you get, like, these cool moments, but I have to imagine at the end of this film, like, maybe, like, it's just like art cinema, like an early director not knowing how to finish his own work. But I was left at the end of this going, he probably is not going to care about his friends anymore. Now he's going to be a businessman. He's probably going to follow his uncle 100% into the family business. Like, he is going to be a mob boss. He is going to be a shark, just like this Michael guy is. Like, he's going to be that. There's no way. Like, he came of age. He grew up over the course of one night here. Like, he, just in between how much happens in that final night. His secret romance gets found out. His best friend gets shot. His business kind of falls apart. His restaurant is probably not going to him. The black chick that he's trying to fuck is not going to be there. Like, you get that random shot of her at the restaurant, probably because she got
like
stood
right
up.
when he was supposed to meet her. Well, that's because he stood her up too. So,
well, he wasn't supposed to
literally
stand
drove
her.
past her.
Yeah, so you get all these little moments where it's kind of like him becoming the guy that he was already gonna be. He just didn't know it. He was fighting that current, like he didn't want to be him. And it's like, oh, okay, now it's over. Now you're him. It's him.
Now he's gonna slip into it no matter what.
Yeah, no matter what. And it's that's interesting. And this is Goodfellas and Casino are already like sibling films anyway, but this is like an interesting precursor to those that you could watch in not tandem because that's only two, but in succession, maybe as like a marathon of the course of what a mafioso goes through, which is really interesting. But yeah, it's kind of all over the place. It's not the best made movie. It's not 100% coherent, but it is fun. It is interesting. And like you said, if you love Scorsese, if you've seen most of his movies, especially his later works, you really should watch this. Like you understand him not a lot more, but I think enough that you can really appreciate his films. Thanks for listening. We hope it's been a pleasure. If you like this show and you want to hear more of our wonderful voices on a weekly basis, check out 2 Cents. I'll recap what's happened in film, TV, and tech news.
We're also on the titular Dollar Review Show, a spoiler-free critique of new releases or anything we've discovered on our own, whether that be TV, music, etc.
You can find all of our content at dollarreviews.net. Follow us on Twitter, or like us on Facebook at Dollar Reviews.
And we're also on Google Play Music, iTunes, Pocket Cast, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, just about anywhere on the internet with hours of content available to you for free. But for those of you that feel that the show is worth your dollar, you can send us a donation at patreon.com/dollarreviews. Contributions not only earn our undying love, but they also make it possible for us to improve our recording equipment and to give you the highest quality episodes possible. But more importantly, they'd be helping us acquire the content to review. Trips to the multiplex are expensive, and the more donations we receive, the more films we can review for your listening pleasure.
If you listen somewhere we're currently not available, you'd like to contribute some talking points, send a Death to Cinema request, or even if you just want to laugh at us, you can do so by reaching out to us on social media or send an email to brian@dollarreviews.net.
Or you can email me as well, steve@dollarreviews.net.
You can follow me personally on Twitter at Brian Gillis, that's BRYONGILLIS, and now you know how to spell the email too. And also under the same name on the lovely site Letterboxd, which acts as my film diary, where I rate films that I'm watching, write the occasional review, and even sometimes compile lists.
You can also find me on Twitter at S_MTX, and also follow my film diary at Letterboxd under the same name, where I log everything I watch, and sometimes write brief reviews.
That's it for this week. Until next time, keep the change.